Hello and welcome to INA UK and Europe edition. I'm Giancarlo Matera, reporting from London. We bring you news reports from around the United Kingdom and Europe. And we have live reporters on standby, ready to give you their reports. On our program today, Northern Ireland cast a shadow over the first Boris Johnson and Joe Biden meeting. In France, a 4-month jail sentence for the man who is accused of assaulting President Macron. And our live reporters joining us this week, we first have Janelle and Kasuga. Hello, Janelle.
Hello, Giancarlo, and my report will be on the beautiful and creative concepts and exhibits featured in the London Design Biennale.
Thank you so much, Janelle. Also joining us from Italy, we have Jenny Santiago. Hello, Jenny.
Hello, Giancarlo. I'll be reporting about the current COVID-19 vaccination here in Italy. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Also from Switzerland, we are joined by Meen Glauser. Hello, Meen.
Hi, Giancarlo. So I'll be reporting on Biden and Putin's first summit, which will take place in Geneva.
So much. We also have today our report from Malta on how Malta is easing its restrictions. This report will be brought to us by Eloisa Joy Palogan. And we'll end our show, as always, with our view from our window. And this week comes from Belgium's National Botanic Garden greenhouse. US President Joe Biden was set to warn British Prime Minister Boris Johnson not to imperil peace in Northern Ireland as they held their first face-to-face meeting on Thursday. The pair were all smiles as they posed for media in Carbis Bay, Cornwall, on the eve of the G7 Leaders Summit, with Biden congratulating Johnson on his recent marriage. The meeting at the start of Biden's first foreign tour as president is billed as a chance for old allies to help shape the post-pandemic world in areas from climate change to technology and trade. They will agree a modern version of the 1941 charter signed by their predecessors, Winston Churchill and Franklin D. Roosevelt, that determined the new world order after World War II. But while keen to reaffirm the strength of the two countries' special relationship, Biden has reportedly ordered US diplomats to rebuke Johnson over his handling of Brexit and its effects on peace in Northern Ireland. The US National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan, insisted that the president, a proud Irish American with distant family still in Ireland, would not make threats or ultimatums to Boris Johnson. But he said Biden was rock solid in the belief that the 1998 Good Friday Agreement that ended 3 decades of violence over British rule in Northern Ireland must be protected. The row centres on new trading arrangements for Northern Ireland, produced in January after the UK left the European Single Market and Customs Union, nearly 4 years after the divisive Brexit vote. Under a new protocol, checks are supposed to be carried out on deliveries heading to Northern Ireland from mainland Britain, to prevent these goods going into the European Single Market via the neighbouring EU member Ireland. But pro-British Unionists communities say the new rules have driven a wedge between the province and the rest of the United Kingdom, increasing the likelihood of reunification with Ireland. London suspended checks earlier this year because of the threat to port staff, and protocol has been blamed for the worst violence in years in the British-run province. Talks to resolve the simmering rows broke up in London without agreement on Wednesday, with Europe threatening retaliatory action, including tariffs, if the new trading arrangements are not implemented. After the G7 ends on Sunday, Biden will visit Queen Elizabeth II at Windsor Castle and fly to Brussels for summits with NATO military alliance on Monday and the European Union on Tuesday, before a likely tense meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin next Wednesday in Geneva. In France now, a French court has sentenced the man accused of slapping French President Emmanuel Macron to 4 months in prison. The accused is 28-year-old man named Damien Terrell. He has been in custody since the assault that took place on Tuesday. The court followed the recommendation from prosecutors that an 18-month sentence, but decided that the accused served only 4. He told investigators that he acted instinctively and without thinking. In his own words, he told the court, "When I noticed his friendly manner, I looked and understood that he wanted to turn to me into somebody who would vote for him." He added that the slap came after he was flooded with feelings of injustice. He is unemployed and lives on social benefits. He had expressed sympathy for the anti-government Yellow Vest movement, which has rocked the presidency in 2008-2009. The movement is driven in part by anger at the president's economic reforms. President Macron has called the incident an isolated event, and the persecutor described Terrell's act as absolutely unacceptable and an act of deliberate violence. It's time for a break now, but please come back for some more E&I UK and Europe edition.
Events happen around us all the time, in our community, in our country, around the world. Events that affect people, move communities, or simply inspire us. Interesting events that people need to know. In these interesting times, we continue to be a competent partner in delivering news about these events. Fast, accurate, balanced, eagle news, because we live in interesting times.
Broadcast journalist Wayne De La Fuente returns on Philippine television and radio to deliver top stories and engage with the country's policymakers, shapers, and movers. Tatalakayin ang mga pangunahing balita live sa teleradyo ng Net25 at Radyo Aguila DCEC 1062. Kasama si Wayne De La Fuente sa Balit Talakayan.
Ako si Wayne De La Fuente at itong Balit Talakayan, we live in interesting times.
Ang mga bangko ay kaagapay ng negosyo. Ngunit katulad ng lahat ng industriya, binago rin ng COVID-19 ang mga proseso na may kinalaman sa bangko. Quarantine restrictions and other safety protocols have required banks to shift their operations almost entirely online. Mahigit ng 1 taon ang nakakaraan mula nung nagsimula ang pandemya. Paano ba nakakatulong ang serbisyo ng mga bangko sa pagninegosyo? Today, we'll find out how one bank is catering to its customers in the new normal. Tatalakayin ito ni Randy Bernardino, ang ating OFB correspondent mula sa Las Vegas, kasama ng ating mga bisita mula sa Security Bank. All this in this episode of Open for Business.
Welcome back to E&I UK and Europe edition. I'm Giancarlo Matera. Now for some more interesting stories from around the United Kingdom and Europe this week. This year's edition of the London Design Biennale highlights World Crisis. With us today to give us more details is Janelle Ann Kasuga. Hi, Janelle.
Hi, Giancarlo, and yes, under the theme Resonance, pavilions from countries, states, territories, and cities from 6 continents are exhibiting in London's Somerset House. Featured are groundbreaking design concepts which address global challenges and crises with engaging and fully immersive installations. Let's take a listen.
And so this footage here, we used algorithms and machine learning and artificial intelligence to generate new footage. So we rebuilt the original footage, the original icebergs, with artificial intelligence to create these new landscapes. So all the footage you see here has been created by machine learning. It's been trained on the original footage. It's learned what the original icebergs look like, and it's created brand new original icebergs and footage. So this again is almost like the way I kind of see that a computer sees the world, or is trying to make sense of the world, and it kind of maps this complex relationship.
Hosted in Somerset House, the 2021 London Design Biennale offers good British weather alongside a plethora of unique design and geographical ideas come to life, all of which originating from various national regions. This event has intrigued only the most ambitious and creative designers and institutes, hailing from all across the globe. Countries from Argentina to Indonesia have joined to answer the LDB's theme of resonance. Since the COVID-19 pandemic resulted in lockdowns globally for most of last year, the London Design Biennale was postponed. However, this exhibit now runs until the end of June. In 2021, the London Design Biennale includes many exhibitions. The main centerpiece for the LDB is the Forest for Change, which highlight urban environments where green life was once there or is no longer welcome. Another is from Canada called Duct, which reflect on how useful and productive air ducts are. Other exhibits include Germany's spoon archaeology, which shows disposable spoons as old artifacts. Middle Eastern Stream of Consciousness, which feature different participants from nations like Kuwait, Palestine, and Lebanon, as they use wooden objects to convey varying cultural norms. And last but not least, the New York City's Recharge Room exhibit emphasizes and presents the experiences of its frontline medical and caregiving workers, as well as highlight their trauma during the coronavirus outbreak. The African continent is also present in the LBD. The metaphor behind the African sculptures is the reverberations and resonance of the voices of the African people, carrying people into the future by powering the sail, as explained by one of the African pavilion designers, Ini Archibong. Not only are there beautiful statuesque art shows, but regions like Guatemala use a sound installation of more than 50 rain sticks to reflect the loss of water in the environment. And Antarctica uses an AI-generated film to emphasize the dangerous melting of ice caps. Back to you, Giancarlo.
Thank you so much, Janelle, for that interesting report. Definitely seems like a nice exhibit to visit. But of all the themes that they could have chose for this worldwide exhibit, why did they choose this year the theme of resonance?
Well, Giancarlo, the artistic director, S. Devlin, believes that we live in an age of hyper-resonance, the consequences of which are both exhilarating and devastating. Everything they design and everything we produce resonates. Devlin also describes the age we live in as an age of resonance. And also these words are timely, considering the changes the coronavirus pandemic, the lockdowns, and the new normal has brought to the global society. This theme also allows the designers to produce art exhibits which touch on issues like climate change and equality, or the lack of it. Giancarlo?
Okay, thank you, Janelle, for bringing us this interesting report this week.
Thank you for having me. Reporting from London, United Kingdom, I'm Janelle Kasuga. We live in interesting times.
Okay, we go to Italy now, where Italy's vaccination campaign continues. And to give us an update, we are joined from Milan by Jenny Santiago. Hello, Jenny.
Hi, Giancarlo. Thank you. So, nearly 6 months into its COVID-19 vaccination campaign, Italy has administered more than 35.8 million doses nationwide and fully immunized 12.4 million people according to health ministry figures, which means that nearly 23% of the total population over 12 has had all the shots they need. Italy began its vaccination rollout by focusing on health workers and the elderly, followed by people with medical conditions. More than 90% of Italy's people aged over 80 had at least their first dose of a COVID-19 vaccine, while over 80% are fully vaccinated. After a slow start at the beginning of the year, both due to organizational issues and lack of supply, Italy's vaccination program has been rapidly gaining pace over the past few weeks, which means more than 3 million doses injected every week in May. Giancarlo?
Thank you so much, Jenny. Is there any update regarding the vaccinations for people who are aged between 12 and 15?
Yes. So Italy got the green light to open vaccination against COVID-19 for those aged 12 and above. The move came after the European Medicines Agency gave the go-ahead on Friday, May 28, which stated that the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine is safe for use on younger people. This news came shortly after the announcement that Italy's regional services could open up vaccination appointments to people aged over 16 from June 3rd. Italy aims to finish vaccinating its oldest residents by the end of June. Its COVID-19 emergency commissioner has urged regional health services not to forget about those in high-risk groups who have not yet had their first shot, even as they begin offering vaccine to younger people, with local authorities urged to reach out to elderly residents who still haven't booked a jab. Back to you, Giancarlo.
Thank you so much, Jenny, for joining us on our show this week and for bringing us those updates from Italy.
Thank you for having me. Reporting from EBC Milan, Italy, I am Jenny Santiago, and we live in interesting times.
Okay, it's time for another break now, but please come back for some more ENI UK and Europe edition.
It's time to take one step further and face the impossible. Time to search the unknown and fight for the truth. Time to overcome boundaries and connect the world. It's time for DW News.
Samahan sina Wedge Kujamat,
Itong balitang panggising sa ulo ng mga balita.
Apple David,
Sa 60 katao ang isinugod sa ospital.
Phoebe Publico
Economic sabotage ang mga tiwaling negosyante.
at Cristel Fesalbon
Pagpresyo ng gulay, makakausap natin
para ihatid sa inyo ang mga kaganapan at pangyayari sa bansa at sa iba't ibang panig ng mundo. Mga napapanahong isyu ng bayan. May balitang sports, entertainment at iba pang kaalaman. Simula Lunes hanggang Biyernes, alas 5 ng umaga sa paborito nyong morning show, Pambansang Almusal, dito sa Net25.
Pambansang Almusal.
Malalayong lugar ang kanilang narating para maghanap buhay. Tulungan ang pamilyang iniwan sa sariling bayan. Yan ang ating mga overseas Filipino worker. Pero dahil sa di pangkaraniwang pangyayaring hatid ay krisis, may ilan sa kanilang nagpasyang umuwi. Pinagyaman ang sariling lupain, nagtayo ng negosyo na kasama sa puhunan ang sipag at tiyaga. Ang mga OFW, maraming sakripisyo, ninanais maging kapaki-pakinabang maging sa kanilang pagbabalik bansa. Sapagkat ang ating mga bagong bayani, Pilipino pa rin sa puso at damdamin.
Welcome back to ENI UK and Europe edition. I'm Giancarlo Matera, and now for some more interesting stories from around Europe this week. We have more details on US President Joe Biden and Russian President Vladimir Putin's planned meeting in Geneva, Switzerland on June 16. Fortunate for us, we have a reporter there in Geneva, Mian Glauser, who is with us today. Hello, Mian.
Hi, Giancarlo. So yes, indeed, last May 25, it has been confirmed by the White House that US President Joe Biden and Russian President Vladimir Putin will finally meet face-to-face in Geneva, Switzerland this coming June 16. This crisis summit will more precisely take place at the end of Biden's first international trip since taking office, and is also the first one with Putin as US president. It is said that the two world leaders will discuss issues of utmost importance related to the future development of the US-Russian relationship, as both seem to disagree on several political aspects. This includes problems of strategic stability, topical issues on the international agenda, cooperation in fighting against COVID-19 pandemic, and resolving regional conflicts. Geneva is also getting ready for this huge diplomatic event by planning to close partially its airport around the arrival and departure times of the presidential aircrafts. Some official aircraft from both countries are beforehand landing with personnel and equipment. Numerous roads will be then closed to ensure the security of the event. The choice of the summit venue has not been done randomly, especially for this kind of event with sensitive and high-profile concerns. As a matter of fact, it followed three main criteria. First, the infrastructure. Geneva is the second most important UN seat after New York, having the necessary facilities. Both Russia and the US hold large missions in the Swiss city. Security experts from both sides are aware of the local condition, which is an advantage to protect the two presidents. Secondly, Geneva was an obvious choice as it is called the center of dialogue, decision-making, and international cooperation, and Switzerland is known for being a neutral country. Finally, Switzerland has bilateral relations with both summit participants, who have in return nothing against the host country as well. However, this is not only an advantage for the two powerful countries, but it is also for the host country Switzerland, because this high-level event such as this one allows it to have more visibility and more diplomatic success. Back to you, Giancarlo.
Thank you, Min, for that. This is not the first time that Geneva has held such a diplomatic event, isn't it?
No, in fact, Geneva already hosted a presidential meeting between the two nations back in 1985, with Ronald Reagan and Mikhail Gorbachev being the US and Russian leaders at the time. It took place at the Villa Fleur d'Eau in Versoix, Geneva, actually, at the height of the Cold War to discuss diplomatic and relations and nuclear arms over 2 days. Back to you, Giancarlo.
Thank you so much, Mian, for bringing us that report, and keep a close eye on our presidents for us.
Thank you for having me, Giancarlo. I'm Mian Glauser reporting from the Geneva, Switzerland Bureau, and we live in interesting times.
Okay, we go to Malta now, where the authorities have started to ease the pandemic-related restrictions. And for this report, we have Luisa Joy Palogan, who has submitted this report for us. Let's watch her report.
The Health Ministry of Malta government continues to provide updates on COVID-19 cases, including mandatory standards and guidelines. The Health Minister announced early on Monday morning that Malta has recorded no new COVID-19 cases for the first time in almost 11 months. Malta currently has 74 active cases of COVID-19. As the COVID-19 situation in Malta is gradually improving, the government released certain measures that outline the permissible activities with the dates from when they come into effect. Starting on the 7th of June, groups of 6 people from different households are allowed to gather in public. The number of persons permitted on the same table in restaurants will increase to 6. Cinemas and theaters will reopen. Contact sports and team sports competitions for persons aged 17 and above will continue without spectators. In view of COVID-19 current travel requirements, commercial tourism travel to Malta is only permitted from amber list countries with a negative PCR test results obtained within 72 hours before arrival in Malta. For more information, visit deputyprimeminister.gov.mt. In terms of the COVID-19 vaccinations, Public Health Superintendent Charmaine Gauci said that a vaccine program was going well. The health authorities have started to roll out the vaccination for children who are under 16 years old. She said that parents who want their children to be vaccinated should approach the authorities. For Eagle News International from Malta, I am Eloisa Joy Palogan. We live in interesting times.
Thank you, Eloisa, for that update from Malta. We will end today's show with our view from our window. And today we get a short glimpse of one of the go-to spots in the National Botanic Garden of Belgium. The greenhouse is located at the Boekhout Domein or Park in the town of Mies, north of Brussels, and has been established in 1958 after it was moved from the center of Brussels to its current location. There you are able to reconnect and discover and learn about 18,000 plant species. The greenhouse may be the highlight of the park, but there you can also enjoy hiking, picnics, and capturing beautiful sights. This beautiful view is brought to us by Kate Rebivis from our Belgium Bureau. Thank you so much for this view, Kate. And that's it for our program today. We hope you stay safe and keep positive as we bring you more stories next week from around the United Kingdom and Europe. I'm Giancarlo Matera, and we live in interesting times.
Factual.
We have to defeat the virus everywhere.
Timely information. Balanced, not only in the country, but also abroad.
I'm certain of one thing.
Interviews that people need to know. Watch Aguila Pilipinas, a one-hour newscast of reports coming from regional hubs in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Know the important updates in Asia in ASEAN in Focus. Track the latest stories in the provinces in Aguila Provincia. Tune into Mata ng Aguila, the evening primetime news program.